If we are to bring glory back to God, and we are to be really the expressed image of God or the Father in this earth, how would that look for us? What should that look like? One thing we do know is there's a lot of distortion, there's a lot of hurt, there's a lot of things that people say are God but are not God. So as a man, how does that look like in a marriage or as a husband that has children? How would we want to react and respond in this life? What does that look like? What does it look like for me to reflect glory back to God, yet also be the image of God here in this earth? Hey guys, my name is Josh Goodman, and I have the opportunity to sit in the position here at Mount Hope as the family care pastor. It's such a privilege, and it's a privilege being able to speak with you today. I want to communicate and speak with you and just give you my heart on what a godly role of a husband, what that would look like and how that might sound, and just give you some thoughts on that. Sometimes what I like to do before I just jump into, hey, here's some points. In this case, I wanted to go back to really our original design as human or mankind. So if we look at the scriptures, one of the things that we see in Genesis is where the devil or Lucifer was in heaven, and he was the primary leader in heaven as far as worship. He oversaw that. What Lucifer decided to do was to raise himself up against God or above the throne. In other words, he wanted to be like God. So because of that decision, he was actually cast out of heaven. And then we fast forward to see what mankind was about, and we look at it, and what God actually did was he said in Genesis 1:27, he said, "So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female. He created them." So today I want to specifically talk about, obviously, as husband roles in marriage, I want to talk about the very specificness or the particularness that God created a man. And why did he do that? Well, the reason he created mankind in general, one of them was really to bring glory back to him. So we can bring glory back to God, and actually in this earth we glorify God, and the way we do that is we also glorify his image here to our sons and our daughters, to our wives. So it's man and woman, we're both particular in how we do that, but today obviously we're speaking to the men. So if you're married or you're planning on being married, I'll have a couple points that I want to bring out about that. So if we are to bring glory back to God, and we are to be really the expressed image of God or the Father in this earth, how would that look for us? What should that look like? One thing we do know is there's a lot of distortion, there's a lot of hurt, there's a lot of things that people say are God but are not God. So as a man, how does that look like in a marriage or as a husband that has children? How would we want to react and respond in this life? What does that look like? What does it look like for me to reflect glory back to God, yet also be the image of God here in this earth? Well, that means that I need to know the Father. I need to know how he operates or the way he thinks or the way he is, or what is his desire for me here on this earth, that I could be a reflection of him. Just a side note on this point is it's interesting, the very thing that Satan or Lucifer was after and wanted, which was the glory to raise himself up against the throne, God made man in his image and then gave him that opportunity to be the reflection of glory back to God, or give the glory to God, or reflect it here on this earth. That must really, really irritate Satan. It's just a side thought, but it's interesting to me that God would give us such a place to reflect him in that way. So yesterday or recently, I was at a place to where a family had pulled up near me, and they were getting ready to go to the beach, and so the mom got out and the dad got out, and one thing I noticed is they were very close to my car, and he left his door open and he began to unpack his car, opened his trunk, and then their son, which would have been, I'm guessing, around 14 to 15 months old, was there, and a typical baby, if you will, was crying and kind of whining and looking around, didn't know what to do, needed some direction and some parenting. Well, as he was kind of crying, the dad had looked at him and said, you shut up. you be quiet, and you go away. He actually said it a lot meaner than that. He was very harsh, actually, and he said some words that really shouldn't be said. And I took note of that, and I also noticed the wife, who was very quiet. So why do I tell you this story? The story is as fathers, and I know we're talking about husbands, but this will tie together. As husbands and fathers, we have such a responsibility in this reflection to reflect Jesus and to train our children, and even to help our wives. We are to be as Christ is to the church, to our wives. So how I speak to my wife or my children is, I don't know a better word to use than it's enormous as far as weightiness and power and what we are conveying to them. So I couldn't help but think what this baby could have been thinking. And I know he was a small child, and he probably didn't understand everything, but internally I could imagine only that he was thinking, I don't matter, I'm always in the way, Daddy doesn't like me, Daddy's mad at me. And we also do that with our wives. The wife was very quiet. So I was also thinking, what is she experiencing? What is she feeling? Was it her child or was it their child? And could she be feeling like, boy, he's never nice, which goes right into marriage. We talk about marriage, and the scriptures they tell us that man is to be the head of the wife, the spouse, as Christ is to the church, and how we are to operate and function. And I think what we've done, or the world has done, is twisted that and turned it into, as men, we are the domineers. We are the ones that need to be the leaders, and that we are the head, and that's not even the right spirit that we are supposed to represent. Yes, we are both servants to our wife and leaders. And it is very challenging, because we are to love, but we're also to lead. And that's where sometimes I think the rub can come in a godly husband role, is we're pursuing our wives, we're going after them, we're wanting to even wash them with the watering of the word and be there for them. We're to be protectors and lovers. But how does this look? How does this all come out in the end? Well, loving to me looks like you are careful with your words. You are wise with your words and the intent and the meaning behind your words. To me, being a godly husband is to be very faithful. And faithful, that means faithful in our approach towards our wives, in our purpose towards our wives, in our intent to pursue our wives the way that we need to. So faithful to me is a lot of things. And I know it's a word that we commonly hear in the church, but what does it really mean and look like for us? Faithful means that I keep my eyes pure and I don't look at other women. I'm not chasing to get glimpses of other ladies. It's my heart response to a moment where I'm not secretly liking somebody else, or I'm not allowing thoughts to run rampant in my heart of, hey, that's a nice person and they really treat me nice. The enemy is always looking to where he can steal, kill, and destroy. So to me, being faithful in marriage as a godly husband is to watch what your mind what thoughts come into your mind, to be very, very careful, because when they get in your mind, they can go into your heart. So be faithful in every way to your wife, to the covenant that you said that you would have with your wife and that you committed before the Lord and her. So be faithful. Be faithful with your words. Be faithful with your kindness in your words. Be faithful in your heart. Be faithful in your mind. You set guards and bodyguards, if you will, around your eyes and your ears. Don't allow the enemy to have access to these areas. And when you literally shut them off, or you place bodyguards, then you're not dealing with those seeds that can get into your heart. It's a great way to live free and not have to try to get free after the fact. So watch what you're thinking on, watch what you're saying, and on the speaking to your wife, some of the things that the Bible would even teach is, again, how you speak to your wife in a loving way. And what that's going to look like is I'm going to use the phrase, run her down. Treat her as if she's second rate, or not really care about her feelings. I would not want to tell my wife, hey, I'm the head, and you're not, and I'm the one that's in charge here, and we're going to do this the way that I see we do it. Again, it's the spirit in which you approach something. If I've ever said something even close to that, it's not quite close to that, because that spirit's not the thing. Yes, I am the head. I am the leader in my home. But leading, a lot of times, as we know, is serving, and it's doing it in a way that is gracious and loving. And again, I would be very careful how I speak to my wife, because again, if I create offense, or I create moments, or I create unforgiveness, or I don't build her up like a loving father or husband would, then I am putting myself in jeopardy, according to the scriptures, to not hear from the Lord. We see that in the book of Peter. Like, my prayers can be hindered. So again, it's very important how we speak to our wives. It's honestly important how we're speaking to ourselves and our children. Another point that I would bring out quickly is you can see this in Genesis, but is how we pursue our wives. How, as a husband, that I would pursue my wife. And I just gave you an example of how you can pursue. You can pursue your wife in your words, in your kindness. You can direct your thoughts towards her. You can direct energy, if you will, the energy that you have in this day, this life, to be able to speak into her and encourage her and love her and give her maybe direction. So how would this look practically in other ways? What I do is I would read a book on how to be a better husband. How can I improve? How can I be thinking about her more? How can I chase her, if you will? Reading books on marriage, talking to her and getting her thoughts and input. And one thing is just realizing that I'm a part of this marriage. I'm not the marriage. And so I need her to help me see what I can't see, because again, she's just a different expression of the Father. She's no less, she's no more. A woman is a different expression. So we need the two expressions of God coming together. And it's beautiful to be able to see that there are these two different expressions that are equal, but they make up the image of God, if you will. So it's so cool what marriage can be. But husbands, we've got to lead in the proper way. We've got to learn to pursue. We've got to learn to chase. We've got to learn to speak right. This is really what love, if you will, looks like in a marriage. And it doesn't mean just going to work and coming home. It means you're going to work, you're giving your life, you're giving all the energy that you have, you're putting that into the second most important covenant that you have, which is your marriage. So be faithful in every way and in everything that you do towards your spouse. And what's beautiful, as we do this, you will see how God will bless that marriage and bless that family, because really what you're doing is you're backing up and solidifying the covenant that you have entered into with your spouse before God. Guys, I hope this helps, and we'll see you soon.